Women who make men fall in love and stay obsessed forever aren't the ones who give everything. They're not texting first, not always available, not bending over backwards to prove their love. They have one boundary that flips a man's entire mindset and makes him see them as irreplaceable. This single boundary turns you from someone he likes into someone he can't imagine living without. You've been lied to. You've been told that love is about sacrifice, about giving until it hurts, about proving your worth through endless devotion. But what if I told you that this advice has been keeping you single, keeping you heartbroken, and keeping the men you want at arm's length? What if the secret to making a man fall so deeply in love that he can't imagine life without you has nothing to do with what you give him and everything to do with what you refuse to give him? This isn't about playing games. This isn't manipulation. This is about understanding the one psychological trigger that makes a man's brain rewire itself around you. In this video, I'm going to reveal the boundary that the most irresistible women use without even realizing it. The boundary that makes men fight for you instead of taking you for granted. The boundary that turns you from someone he likes into someone he can't live without. If you stay until the end, I'll show you the exact psychology behind why this works, how to use it without pushing him away, and why this one shift will make you magnetic to not just him, but to every high-value man who crosses your path. So grab something to drink, turn off your distractions, and get ready to learn something that could change your love life. Because what you're about to discover goes against everything you've been taught, but it works every single time. Here's something that will blow your mind. The way you think men fall in love is completely backwards. Most women believe that love grows through closeness, through sharing everything, through being completely open and available. They think that the more a man knows about them, the more time they spend together, the deeper his feelings will become. But here's the harsh truth that nobody wants to tell you. Men don't fall in love through comfort. They fall in love through tension. You see, a man's brain is wired completely differently than yours. While you might feel closer to someone when they're always there, always available, always saying yes, his psychology works in reverse. The male mind is built to pursue, to conquer, to work for what it values. And here's the part that might hurt to hear. When something comes too easily, when there's no challenge, when there's no mystery left to uncover, his interest doesn't grow, it fades away. Think about every man you know who's completely obsessed with a woman. I guarantee you she's not the one who dropped everything for him. She's not the one who was available every time he called. She's not the one who made his life easier by removing every obstacle. No, the woman he can't stop thinking about is the one who made him work, the one who had standards, the one who had a life so full and exciting that he had to earn his place in it. Psychologists call this the scarcity principle. The human brain assigns value based on rarity and difficulty of getting something. It's not just about relationships, it's about everything. The harder something is to get, the more valuable it becomes in our minds. And when a man has to invest effort, time, and emotional energy to win your attention, something powerful happens in his brain. He starts to convince himself that you must be worth it. Otherwise, why would he be trying so hard? But here's where it gets really interesting. It's not just about the chase. It's about what happens in his mind while he's chasing. Every time he has to work for your attention, every time he has to step up to meet your standards, every time he chooses to pursue you despite the challenge, he's making a psychological investment. And the more he invests, the more valuable you become to him. Not because of who you are, but because of what he's put into getting you. This is why the neediest women rarely keep men interested long term. It's not because they're not worthy of love. It's because they've removed the very psychological process that creates obsession. They've made themselves too easy to attain, too available to appreciate, too predictable to pursue. The woman who understands this, who creates healthy tension, who keeps her own life and standards, she triggers something primal in a man's psychology. She becomes the prize he needs to win, not the consolation he settles for. And that shift, that simple change in dynamic is what turns like into love and attraction into obsession. But here's what most women get wrong. They think this means being cold, distant, or playing games. It doesn't. It means being valuable. It means having standards. It means never abandoning yourself to keep someone else. And in just a moment, I'm going to show you exactly how to do this without pushing good men away. Let me share something painful painful but necessary. Most relationships don't fail because two people stop caring about each other. They fail because one person starts caring too much at the cost of themselves. And 9 times out of 10, that person is the woman. She starts reshaping her entire life around his schedule, his preferences, his needs, believing that this level of devotion will make him love her more. But here's the cruel irony. The more she gives up of herself, the less interested he becomes. Not because he's heartless, but because she's unknowingly teaching him that she has no boundaries, no standards, and most importantly, no other options. When a man feels like he's your only source of happiness, your only priority, your entire world, it doesn't make him feel special. It makes him feel trapped. Think about it from his side. In the beginning, he was attracted to your independence, your passion, your full life. You had friends, hobbies, dreams that excited you. You were this vibrant, confident woman who chose to spend time with him. But slowly, without realizing it, you started canceling plans to be available for him. You stopped talking about your own goals because you were more interested in him. You made him the center of your universe. And paradoxically, the moment you made him your everything, you became less interesting to him because the woman he fell for, the one with her own life and dreams and boundaries, started to fade away. She was replaced by someone who seemed to need him to feel complete. And deep down, every man knows that kind of need isn't love, it's dependency. This is why so many women go through that devastating pattern where everything starts perfectly, but then he starts pulling away. They think they did something wrong, but actually they did something they thought was right. They loved without limits. They gave without boundaries. They put his happiness ahead of their own. The painful truth is that unlimited love, while beautiful in theory, often destroys attraction in practice. When there are no boundaries, there's no tension. When there's no tension, there's no excitement. When there's no excitement, love slowly turns into something comfortable but lifeless. But there's another layer to this that's even more damaging. When you give up your boundaries, you start to lose respect for yourself. And if you don't respect yourself, how can you expect him to respect you? That loss of self-respect shows up in 1,000 small ways. The way you speak to yourself, the way you tolerate behavior that doesn't line up with your values, the way you shrink yourself to make room for someone else's ego. And men can sense this. They can feel when a woman doesn't value herself, even if she never says it out loud. And unfortunately, it doesn't inspire them to value her more. It does the opposite. Because deep down, every person, man or woman, wants to be with someone who knows their own worth. The relationships that last, the ones where passion stays alive year after year, they're built on mutual respect. And respect can only exist where there are boundaries. Clear lines that say, I love you, but I won't lose myself loving you. This is the foundation of the boundary I'm about to reveal. Because when you understand this idea, everything changes. Not just how he sees you, but how you see yourself. And that shift, that change in your own energy and confidence is what makes the magic happen. Here's what most people don't understand about boundaries. They think boundaries are walls you build to keep people out, but that's not what boundaries are at all. Boundaries are standards you set that teach people how to love you. They're not about punishment or rejection. They're about creating a framework for healthy, lasting love. When you have strong boundaries, you're sending a clear message without saying a word. You're showing that you value yourself, that your time and energy are precious, and that access to your heart must be earned, not assumed. And here's the beautiful paradox. This doesn't push good men away. It draws them in like a magnet. Why? Because deep in every man's psychology is a need to feel like he's won something valuable. He doesn't want to be with someone who settles for anyone. He wants to be with someone who chooses him specifically because he's worthy of that choice. When you have standards, when you have boundaries, when you refuse to accept less than you deserve, you're giving him the chance to rise up and meet you at that level. Think about anything valuable in life. Is it ever just handed to you? The job you're proud of, you worked for, the achievements that matter to you, you earned. the respect you have from others, you've built over time. Why would love be any different? When something requires effort, investment, and consistency to obtain, it naturally becomes more valuable in our minds. This is why the women who keep men obsessed are the ones who keep their mystery, their standards, their independence. They love fully, but they never love at the cost of themselves. They give generously, but they never give more than they receive. They're available for the right man, but they're not available for just any man. Boundaries also create emotional safety. So many women think that being completely open, completely available, completely accommodating will make a man feel secure, but it actually does the opposite. When there are no limits, no structure, no clear expectations, it creates anxiety. He doesn't know where he stands. He doesn't know what's expected of him. He doesn't know how to succeed with you. But when you have clear boundaries, you create clarity. You make it easy for him to love you well because you've shown him how. You've set the rules of engagement, and now he can focus on playing the game instead of trying to figure out what game you're playing. And here's the most important part. Boundaries aren't just about him. They're about you. When you keep your standards, you keep your self-respect. When you keep your self-respect, you keep your confidence. When you keep your confidence, you keep your attractiveness. It's a beautiful cycle that keeps love alive and growing. The boundary I'm about to share with you isn't complicated, but it's powerful. It's the foundation upon which every other healthy relationship behavior is built. And once you understand it, once you start living it, everything else falls into place. This is it. The moment you've been waiting for, the one boundary that has the power to change not just how men see you, but how you see yourself. The boundary that creates obsession instead of obligation, desire instead of dependency, pursuit instead of taking for granted. Here it is. Never make someone a priority who only makes you an option. It sounds simple, doesn't it? But when you really understand what this means, when you truly live by this rule, everything changes. Because most women, in their desire to love fully and show their feelings, unconsciously reverse this dynamic. They make him their top priority while quietly accepting being his backup plan. They rearrange their entire life around his schedule while he fits them in when convenient. They invest their emotional energy in someone who hasn't invested the same energy back. This boundary means that you match energy. If he texts you once a day, you don't text him 5 times. If he makes plans with you when he has nothing else going on, you don't cancel your existing plans to accommodate him. If he treats you like you're one of many options, you don't treat him like he's your only choice. But here's what this boundary really creates. It forces him to step up or step back, and both outcomes are actually wins for you. When you stop overgiving, when you stop being more invested than he is, one of 2 things happens. Either he rises to meet your energy and starts prioritizing you the way you prioritize him, or he fades away because he was never really that interested in the first place. The men who step up, who start putting in more effort when they realize they can't take you for granted, those are the ones worth your time. They're the ones who recognize your value and are willing to work to keep it in their lives. The men who step back when you stop overgiving, they're actually doing you a favor. They're showing you that they were only interested in what you could do for them, not in who you are as a person. This boundary also does something powerful to your own psychology. When you stop making someone a priority who doesn't prioritize you, you start prioritizing yourself. You start putting that energy back into your own life, your own goals, your own happiness. And guess what happens when you become the center of your own universe instead of making him the center? You become more interesting, more fulfilled, more magnetic. Men can sense when a woman has options, when she has a full life, when she's not sitting around waiting for him to validate her existence. And that energy, that confidence that comes from knowing you're the prize, it's intoxicating. It makes him want to work harder to keep your attention because he realizes other people want it too. This boundary keeps you from becoming the woman who's always available, always accommodating, always putting his needs first. Instead, you become the woman who's selective about her time, intentional about her energy, and clear about her standards. You become someone whose attention feels special because it's not given to everyone. And here's the beautiful result. When you refuse to make someone a priority who only makes you an option, you attract people who want to make you a priority. You stop settling looking for breadcrumbs and start attracting the full feast. You stop accepting part-time love and start commanding full-time devotion. This isn't about being difficult or high maintenance. This is about knowing your worth and refusing to accept less than what you deserve. This is about understanding that real love is reciprocal, that healthy relationships require mutual investment, and that the right person will step up to meet you at your level instead of expecting you to step down to theirs. When you live by this boundary, something incredible happens in his mind. He starts to see you as someone special, someone valuable, someone who doesn't just let anyone into her life. And that realization makes him want to earn his place there. It makes him want to be worthy of your priority because he sees that being your priority actually means something. Now that you understand the power of this boundary, let's talk about what happens when you actually put it into practice, because knowledge without action is useless. And I want you to see the real-world results of living by this principle. When you start matching his energy instead of exceeding it, when you stop making him your priority while accepting option status, his behavior will shift. And how it shifts tells you everything you need to know about his true intentions. First, you'll notice that if he was genuinely interested but maybe taking you for granted, he'll start stepping up. He'll begin initiating conversations more. He'll make clearer plans. He'll prioritize spending time with you because he realizes you're not always going to be available whenever he decides he wants attention. This is the response you want to see because it shows he values you and is willing to work to keep you. But you might also see resistance. Some men, especially those who were only interested in the convenience you provided, might get frustrated when you stop overgiving. They might accuse you of playing games or being difficult. This reaction tells you everything you need to know. A man who gets upset when you start valuing yourself was never interested in your well-being. He was interested in your willingness to accept less than you deserve. You'll also notice a shift in your own energy. When you stop pouring all your emotional resources into someone who isn't pouring the same back into you, you have more energy for yourself. Your friends will start commenting on how much happier you seem. Your confidence will grow. You'll start pursuing hobbies and goals you've been neglecting, and this personal renewal makes you even more attractive. Here's another thing that happens. Other people start noticing you more. When you're not completely focused on one person who doesn't appreciate your attention, you become open to seeing and being seen by others. You might find that men who previously saw you as unavailable start showing interest. You might discover opportunities and connections you were missing because all your focus was aimed in one direction. The most beautiful result is that you start attracting people who actually want to prioritize you. When you stop accepting option status, you become magnetic to people who are looking for someone to make a priority. It's like you're broadcasting a different frequency, and suddenly you're attracting people who are on the same wavelength. But here's a warning. This boundary requires consistency. You can't apply it for a week and then abandon it the moment he shows you a little attention. The men who truly respect this boundary, who rise to meet your standards, they need to see that these standards are real, not just a temporary test they can outlast. Some women make the mistake of thinking this boundary is about punishment or withholding love. It's not. It's about mutual investment. It's about creating a relationship dynamic where both people are equally invested in each other's happiness and well-being. It's about refusing to be the only one doing the emotional work. When both people in a relationship operate by this boundary, when both people prioritize each other equally, magic happens. There's no resentment because the investment is balanced. There's no taking for granted because both people had to work to earn their place in each other's lives. There's no power struggle because the power is shared equally. This is how you create a relationship that lasts, not through unconditional giving, but through mutual choosing, not through accepting whatever scraps of attention come your way, but through commanding the respect and priority you deserve. The right man will not only accept this boundary, he'll respect you more for having it. He'll appreciate being with someone who knows her worth because it makes him feel special to be chosen by someone who doesn't choose just anyone. Let me share with you the exact signs that this boundary is working, because sometimes the changes are subtle at first, and I want you to know what to look for. The first sign is consistency. When a man realizes you're not going to be available whenever he decides he wants attention, he starts being more intentional about when he reaches out. Instead of random late-night texts when he's bored, you start getting thoughtful messages at reasonable hours. Instead of last-minute invitations, he starts planning ahead because he knows you have a life and schedule to consider. Another sign is increased effort. He starts putting more thought into your interactions. The conversations become deeper. The dates become more creative. He starts remembering small details about your life because he realizes he needs to pay attention to keep your interest. This isn't manipulation on your part. This is him naturally stepping up because he values what requires effort to maintain. You'll also notice increased respect. He starts asking about your plans instead of assuming you're free. He considers your feelings before making decisions that affect you. He starts treating your time as valuable because you've shown him it is. This respect extends beyond just your relationship and into how he talks about you to others. The most telling sign is pursuit. When you stop chasing, when you stop initiating all the contact and making all the effort, the right man will start pursuing you. He'll start being the one to text first. Sometimes he'll start making the plans, he'll start putting in the emotional work because he realizes that if he doesn't, he might lose you. I want to hear from you. In the comments below, tell me which part of this message hit you the hardest. What boundary do you need to start setting? What pattern do you need to break? Your story might be exactly what another woman needs to hear to change her own life. If this video opened your eyes to something new, if it gave you hope or clarity or courage, make sure you like it and share it with a friend who needs to hear this message. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications because we're going deeper into the psychology of love, the science of attraction, and the strategies that actually work. Before you go, remember this one truth. You are not too much. You are not asking for too much. You deserve someone who sees your worth and chooses to honor it every single day. The boundary we talked about today isn't about changing who you are. It's about refusing to diminish who you are for someone who doesn't appreciate your full value. Your love story isn't over. It's just beginning. And it starts with you choosing yourself with the same passion you've been choosing others. When you do that, when you become your own priority, the right man will fight for the privilege of becoming one too.